Hi, this is Kemi Omalulu, your pharmacist, journalist, and PR specialist. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, and we're talking about Carbide this morning. Carbide is a chemical which is normally present as calcium carbide, and it is very popular in Nigeria now in the markets, and it's used to ripen fruits and vegetables. A lot of people come to me and ask me, because I'm a pharmacist. At the same time, pharmacists have degrees in chemistry or experience to chemistry, because it's one of the courses we have to learn to become a pharmacist. Now, calcium carbide. It's used for a lot of things. It's used in lamps so that you can read the light and all that. But let's talk about what it's used for in Nigeria mostly, and not supposed to be, because there's a government agency that's supposed to be protecting us, and that's NAFDAC, the Nigerian Food and Drug Administration, the equivalent of the FDA in America, Food and Drug Administration. I spent 38 years in North America, and I practiced pharmacy for 30 years in the United States and Canada. Well, let's go back to the United States. Everything the US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and the United States Department of Agriculture do, they work hand in hand. But in Nigeria, no, the farmers, the herdmen, they have their clash, the Ministry of Health, NDLEA, NAFDAC, all scandals, all corruption. The fraudulent political establishment in Nigeria has prevented a lot of us from knowing what's happening. And people like me, Kemi Omalolu, are very transparent and will investigate and expose them at a heartbeat. A lot of people call me a hater. Some call me enemy of progress. And of course, I've never been able to get a job here in the government because I'm too transparent and I expose all their ills. Going to Carbide, a lot of you are buying fruits and vegetables and you just hear about it. Those women in the markets pronounce it differently, depending on what part of the country you are. I'm usually in the West, and they'll say Carbide, whatever. Carbide, Carbide. Carbide is a chemical, and it can emit worse chemicals. And what I'm talking about today is basically ripening fruits and vegetables. Let's take vegetables, and let's take plantains, for example. When plantains come from the farm, they're green. They're supposed to be covered in sacks, and then they turn yellow. What we're having today is plantains that are ripened with carbide. How do you know a plantain was ripened with carbide? Kind of really hard sometimes. But a plantain that's ripened with carbide usually will have black areas on it. When you see a plantain that's yellow and a lot of black patches, don't buy it. It was ripened with carbide. Because you're not allowed to open it before you buy it. You're going to do that at home in the kitchen. If you were to open it, you'll notice that the plantain itself is hard inside. It's not the texture it's supposed to be. It's either hard or too soft. One end might be friable. I don't know if that word exists. Friable. One end of that plantain you can fry, but the other end is either too soft or too hard. That's carbide. Be careful. Remember the black patches on the plantain. Don't buy them. Avocado pear is another one that's so annoying. When I spend 500 naira and buy an avocado pear, maybe 12 pears, and put them on the table or cover them, in 2 days, 48 hours, it should turn purple and ready to eat. I wanted to make guacamole. Our main ingredient is avocado pears. For 5 days, a week, the pears were green. They never ripened to purple because they were ripened with carbide. They were treated with carbide and thought they will ripen easily. No. The 1 out of the 10 or 12 avocados that managed to turn purple was forced to do that and was soft and horrible. This is what you get with carbide. Now, it's May, so we have mango season going on. Okay, there are all kinds of mangoes out there. There's Oyo mango, there's Ogbomoso mango. We name mangoes after cities here where they grow them. But if you go to Canada or somewhere else, they might call it Indian mango, the same kind of mangoes. Mangoes are ovally yellow here. You see these kind of mangoes? They may be sweet, but not every one of them is sweet. When mangoes start looking ovally yellow, they were ripened with carbide. Ripening fruits is not a recommended use for carbide, even though it's done all across the world. Nigerians just got a hold of it, and we always get a hold of all the bad things. When you see an Ogbomoso mango, you know, the mango that has flesh on it, ripened with carbide, here's how you're going to know. It's going to be yellow and nice and attractive on the top of the head of the woman selling it, or on her, igba, what do they call it? On her stall. Nice and yellow. When you touch those mangoes, make sure they're not soft. If they're soft, they were ripened with carbide 100%. They must be firm to know they were ripened for real. And so, usually, fruits have long shelf lives to a certain point. But carbide ripened fruits have shorter shelf life. I'll tell you what, let me give you an example. An avocado you buy on Monday is supposed to be ripe purple, from green to purple on Wednesday. Okay? But if it's soft, like the day after, you may want to suspect carbide there. So they have a shorter shelf life, and they're usually soft. But the main thing is they're attractive, and that's what makes you buy them. Because once you've bought the fruit or vegetable, you can't return it. That's yours. So we've talked about avocado, we talked about plantain, we talked about mango. Orange is another problem. Orange is tricky because abroad, oranges come orange, the color orange. In Nigeria, they're yellow or green. But look at the oranges some of the houses are selling. Notice how yellow they are, bright yellow or bright lime color. They were ripened by carbide. And you know how you're going to know. Go to the streets and buy an orange from an aboki guy selling it, because they usually peel them and make them ready for drinking. Get 5 and watch what happens. At least 3 of them are going to be very hard inside with hardly any juice. Those were carbide ripened. Carbide can cause blood cancer and other kinds of cancer. Some of us in this world have died of things we didn't even know it killed us. I have an aunt like that. Things we've consumed and we're not educated about. Be careful when buying fruits and vegetables in the streets that have carbide. I'm Kemi Omololu, Dr. KOO. Dr. Kemi Olunloyo. I'm a clinical pharmacist, journalist, and PR specialist. It's Tuesday, the 7th of May, 2019. Share this video with somebody you know, okay? And you can also share it off YouTube. Have a nice day.